What is up, you guys? Michael Elefante here. I tell you what, I have had some serious FOMO when it comes to investing in NIO. I have heard the name several times, like many of you have over the past year or two, and honestly only took serious interest a few months ago. And man, I really wish I invested a bunch of money, obviously, when it was just a few dollars per share, let alone 10, 20, 30, $40 per share. Now hitting all-time highs last week after NIO Day, I finally decided to throw a few $1,000s at NIO stock and just invest and hold for the long term. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about why I am long NIO stock, what are some of the key factors that have convinced me to invest my money for the long term, and also some of the cool things that came out of NIO Day on January 9th. Now, for those of you who don't know much about NIO, they are an electric vehicle manufacturer, among other things now, and they are based out of China. Many consider NIO to be the biggest threat and competitor to Tesla. I'm going to start out with one of the main reasons I'm bullish on NIO long term, and that is because they are based in China and they are also heavily backed by the Chinese government. First of all, China has been the leading manufacturer of vehicles since 2009 and also happens to be the world's leader in CO2 emissions. Now, the Chinese government has pledged that they are going to achieve carbon neutrality by the year 2060. Now, a huge part of this footprint comes from CO2 emitting vehicles. Now, here's where things get very interesting and honestly quite juicy. The Chinese government honestly has quite a stronghold on their economy with the interest that they actually hold with many of the companies there. So the companies such as NIO, who just received over a $1 billion bailout from the Chinese government, which acts more as an investment and rights within the company on the Chinese arm of NIO, is likely going to help push the company to succeed over the course of time. When the Chinese government comes in and bails out a company for over $1 billion, you probably want to believe that they want that company to succeed. So why might the Chinese government want NIO to succeed? Obviously, number one is a point we already mentioned, which is China's goal to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060, and by investing in electric vehicles like NIO, they hope that plays a large part in their efforts to get there by 2060. And according to the International Energy Agency, the amount of electric vehicles sold over the past 10 years has skyrocketed from 17,000 to 7.2 million, 47% of which were sold in China. Something else to consider in China, which I personally was not aware of until recently, is the fact that they were limiting the number of new license plates that they handed out on CO2 emitting cars. Now, they actually lifted this restriction for electric vehicles. So that is also important to consider when you're thinking about the growth of the electric vehicle market and the growth of NIO in particular, because it will encourage new drivers to purchase an electric vehicle versus a traditional gas-powered vehicle. The Chinese government is also encouraging consumers to adopt electric vehicles by providing rebates and tax incentives as well, something similar to that the US government has done over the past few years. The government also has an ambitious goal of increasing the market share of electric vehicles from 5% today to 25% by 2025, which is only 4 years away. So if NIO is really the electric vehicle manufacturer of choice and is heavily backed by the Chinese government, and the government has those ambitious goals of increasing the market share of EVs by 2025 and achieving carbon neutrality by year 2060, I feel very confident that NIO is here to stay for the long term, and they're going to highly ramp up production over the next few years. Now, although NIO is overvalued on almost every metric when you consider fundamental analysis, it is really hard to ignore the potential growth of the company when looking at what Tesla has accomplished over the past several years and the projections in the vehicles that they are manufacturing and distributing throughout the United States and the world. Not only that, if NIO is as strong of a company and as unique of a vehicle as it claims to be, as the electric vehicle demand across the world grows, NIO could be a major player in that market. So when considering those things, it's really hard to ignore the bullish factors that many analysts have for NIO. Now, this is not saying to go invest your life savings into NIO stock, because there's certainly inherent risk with doing so. If you are putting money into NIO stock for the long term, you are betting on the future of the electric vehicle market, and NIO's ability to capture much of that market share. You are going to have to stomach the inherent volatility that is going to come with the stock price of NIO fluctuating over the next several years to come. Now in 2020, after a fairly weak Q1 due to the coronavirus and the beginning of that outbreak and pandemic, we have seen NIO post fairly strong year-over-year growth numbers when it comes to their sales and deliveries of their vehicles over the next 3 quarters. In Q2, NIO deliveries grew 191% year-over-year. In Q3, the deliveries jumped 154%, and for Q4, NIO deliveries increased 111%, which topped NIO's guidance for the quarter, even though it was slightly lower growth than the prior 2 quarters. Then on January 9th in 2021, we saw some very cool things come out of NIO Day. One of the major announcements at NIO Day was the plan to produce a new luxury sedan known as the ET7. This electric vehicle is supposedly going to get upwards of 625 miles per charge on their battery, which is one of the more advanced battery options on the market today. The ET7 will cost right around $84,000, so it's fairly comparable to the Tesla Model S. In addition to the luxury sedan, NIO also announced a higher capacity battery and also announced additional locations for battery swapping. Now with these locations, they are going to increase the amount of capacity of cars that they can swap those batteries out per day. Now for those of you guys that don't know, this is something really unique that NIO is doing, and instead of just planting charging stations everywhere, what they're actually going to do is build a battery swapping network. So if your battery's running low, you can actually get one swapped out for a fully charged new battery. NIO has already completed over 1.5 million battery swaps to date, and this number will likely continue to rise at a very fast pace. Something else really cool that NIO announced was a partnership with NVIDIA, which is the endeavor of creating a fully autonomous vehicle. NIO uses many optical cameras as well as the LiDAR sensor that is on top of the vehicle itself, which many of the auto manufacturers looking to do fully autonomous vehicles are using LiDAR, except Tesla, who apparently refuses to use LiDAR, and they believe that they do not need that technology for the fully autonomous vehicle. NIO has done a great job hiding the LiDAR sensor itself. If you guys look at what Google's Waymo project has done or Uber's prototype for the self-driving cars, they have a massive LiDAR sensor and cameras on top of the car that honestly are quite an eyesore. And when you look at NIO's luxury sedan that they announced, they do a great job of hiding and masking that LiDAR sensor on the roof of the car, and honestly, it looks really good. Now, something I thought that was really unique that NIO's doing that maybe Tesla is not today is instead of paying for the self-driving capability up front, they are actually going to be charging a subscription cost over the course of time. So that's going to help stabilize and boost a monthly subscription revenue that most car manufacturers do not have. Now, NIO can have major upside when it comes to the autonomous driving capabilities. China historically has a really terrible traffic problem, and with the amount of vehicles on the road and the traffic comes more accidents and deaths related to those accidents as well. So if autonomous vehicles can truly help achieve the things that they say they might be able to do by reducing traffic and reducing the amount of accidents that are caused by human error, then NIO has major upside if they're able to capture much of that autonomous vehicle market. NIO reached an all-time high the day after NIO Day, approaching $66.99 per share, and quickly falling back down to around $55.67 per share just a few days after hitting that new all-time high. If the stock continues to retreat, I'll probably put in more money, and then I will do that similarly over the long term whenever there's a natural pullback due to macroeconomic factors or maybe bad short-term news as it pertains to NIO stock. I will likely put in money on those drawbacks as well and then continue to ride the wave of the long term. It's going to be a wild ride, my friends, very volatile environment, so if you are not ready to stomach that volatility and ride it out for the long term, I encourage you to probably avoid investing in this individual stock. I will not even pretend to know or make predictions of future stock prices for NIO. I am in it to bet on the company and the vision and the future of electric vehicles long term, and I believe NIO has a very unique position in the market to capture much of that market share. So unless you are an experienced day trader at trading options or going long or short on stock positions based on minor fluctuations throughout the day, if you guys have interest in investing in a company like NIO, that you believe in the vision, you believe in the future, you understand the basics of their product and services, then I encourage you to evaluate the company and figure out if it's the right investment for you long term. And if it is, again, do not let the volatility make decisions for you based on your emotions. Use those drawbacks on stock price as an opportunity, as a buying point, and continue to invest for the long term. That is my plan, at least. The money I'm putting into NIO is not money that I need today or tomorrow or even a year from now. This is money outside of my emergency savings and my other investments when it comes to real estate. I want to hear from you guys. Are you a current buyer of NIO stock? Are you looking to buy NIO stock in the near future? What price targets are you looking at before you are actually going to be long a position in NIO? Or maybe you're short in NIO. I'd love to hear from you and your reasoning behind that as well. And lastly, I want to hear from you guys how you think NIO will stack up to Tesla. Do you think NIO is going to capture the Chinese market share and beyond, or do you think Tesla entering the Chinese market is going to have an opportunity to just completely take over and destroy any other car manufacturer in that local market? Either way, I would love to hear your perspective. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you found any value in it at all, feel free to like and subscribe below, and I hope to see you guys again in the near future.